My name's Daniel Bushell. Wall Street maps the final looting of America coming up.
The man who jailed 1,000 bankers tells us how to do it. Twice the size of the U.S. economy exposed offshore. And Wall Street hunts the nation's last assets.
The Wall Street Big Five, Goldman, Citi, Chase, Bank of America and Morgan Stanley have, quote, pervasively defrauded town halls, stolen from virtually every pension transaction, unlawfully foreclosed citizens out of their homes, deliberately sold bad products, then bet against them, committed insider trading, manipulated asset prices, financed Ponzi's, tried to destroy evidence, and bribed ratings agencies and politicians. Not a single executive at these banks is being charged. The Justice Department said no one at HSBC is getting indicted for systematic criminal activity. Senior HSBC officials backed terrorism financing, broke the Bank Secrecy Act, broke the Trading with the Enemy Act, ignored $60 trillion in suspicious transactions, and gave favoured client status to known narco barons. Former Wall Street executive Richard Esco, give us a flavour of these favoured clients.
We're talking about the Mexican cartels that have killed more than 60,000 people, whose preferred modus operandi is to come into a town, cut off the heads of 60 prominent citizens, and then leave them in the town square, or as they did at one point, roll them out onto a discotheque floor on Saturday night. So these are the most horrific killers on the planet, being protected, aided, and abetted, and enriched by the largest banks in the United States. All
right, let's take JP Morgan, since Obama calls it well-managed. For a Wall Street bank, how many crimes makes well-managed?
It's really, really big. They had entire teams of untrained college students who were known within JP Morgan Chase as the Burger King kids, because they'd get takeout hamburgers and sit down and generate these false statements in order to facilitate foreclosures. That was done thousands upon thousands of times.
Yeah, you worked on Wall Street. Give us an insight.
They'd sell them some trashy investment, and then they'd hang up, and the expression was, "I ripped his face off." This is their own customers. When the Oliver Stone movie Wall Street was made, and the main hero, who you may remember, Gordon Gekko, played by Michael Douglas, Oliver Stone wrote him up as a villain, but he was a very popular figure on Wall Street. To the guys there, he was a hero.
And what I do, stock and real estate speculation, it's bullshit. You got 90% of the American public out there with little or no net worth. I create nothing. I own.
Bill Black jailed over 1,000 top bankers in the 90s during the last bank crisis. Bill, great to have you on the show. How many bankers should be in jail this time round?
The current crisis is at least 80 times larger than the savings and loan debacle. There are 0 elite Wall Street fraudsters who caused this crisis in prison. There were over 2 million fraudulent loans made. They haven't simply said that the bank is too big to prosecute. They've said that the senior bank officers are too big to prosecute. They have immunity as well. And they've even said that former bank officers who aren't even working there anymore can't be prosecuted. Now, of course, that's insane.
What threats did the crooks make to try and stop you?
Sure. I was sued for $400 million in my personal capacity by the most notorious fraud, Charles Keating's Lincoln Savings. They hired private detectives to investigate me twice. They tried very hard to get me fired, including by the Speaker of the House. And Keating put in writing, highest priority, get Black, kill him dead. They come running after the first 500, 600 convictions to do a plea deal because they have no real bravery. They have only the faux bravery of the bully picking on the smallest homeowner.
Here's Goldman boss Blankfein taking a break from doing God's work to cut the safety net.
You're going to have to undoubtedly do something to lower people's expectations, the entitlements, and what people think that they're going to get, because they're not going to get it.
Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid?
Some things, and you could go back and you can look at the history of these things, and Social Security wasn't devised to be a system that supported you. The retirement age has to be changed, maybe some of the benefits have to be affected, entitlements have to be slowed down and contained.
Leading economist Dean Baker, did the old and sick cause the world economic crisis?
There's this incredible little bit of judo where we have the elites trying to tell us we should be upset about Social Security and Medicare and, high living seniors, when the reality is all the money's going to the top 1%.
Cyprus banks tried to rob regular savers, but US banks already have those plans in place. This document shows they're preparing an even bigger crisis in which taxpayer bailouts aren't enough. It's by the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, supposed to guarantee US bank deposits. Returning the sound operations of globally active, systemically important financial institutions, that's the Wall Street Five, would be provided by converting unsecured debt from original creditors of the failed company. Unsecured debt from creditors is finance speak for regular savers. It means your money is no longer safe. Former Wall Street banker Eve Smith, thanks for joining us. You write US savers are now worse off even than Cyprus.
The reason that US depositors could be at more risk, even without any rule changes, is the fact that we have, in the 2005 bankruptcy law, there are actually creditors that are senior to depositors.
Yeah, US media talk about Russian oligarchs keeping money in Cyprus, yet you write Wall Street oligarchs are hiding much scarier sums.
That's correct. Basically it's someone else's tax haven is a problem. Our tax havens aren't.
People have traditionally seen tax havens as used by drug smugglers and mafiosi, but the big users of the secrecy jurisdictions are the banks.
Wall Street is earning record profits through this crisis. James Dimon even boasts they benefit from downturns. Those profits are being stashed offshore. The US economy just fell again, but $32 trillion is now in havens. That's double America's gross domestic product. Here's Wall Street's favorite places to hide their cash from the IRS, in offshores known as pirate banks. US Virgin Islands choice for Wells Fargo and Bank of America. Tax havens should really be called crime havens. They skip not just tax, but criminal, safety and environment laws. The Marshall Islands provided, quote, the anything goes unregulated flag for Deepwater Horizon. But far and away, Wall Street's favorite tax dodge is this mosquito-ridden isle off Florida, the Cayman Islands. Bank of America, JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs are all based in this building. And the world leader in tax evasion is Citigroup, which has hundreds of offshores around the world, 121 in the Caymans alone. New Treasury Secretary Jack Lew, as a Citi exec, stashed there at least $56,000. Citi tried to suppress this chilling internal report that calls income inequality, quote, perfectly natural, but worries Americans still have a vote.
The US is a plutonomy. At its heart is income inequality. The exceptionally rich drive the appallingly low savings rates, overextended consumer and unsustainable current accounts. All our friends in academia, politicians, consider imbalances perfectly natural. We want to examine how to make money from this. This is not without its risks. Political enfranchisement remains as was. One person, one vote.
And NGOs compiled all the world's official investigations into offshores, far and away the biggest illegal scam in history. But every page is blank because there hasn't been a single official investigation. The US justice system has a conviction rate of 99%. That includes an estimated 10,000 wrongful convictions a year. But when it comes to catching criminal money, that falls to 0.1%. No one dares touch offshores, and here's the reason why.
If you speak up in offshore centres, it's suicide. There's no way you would find protection. He chopped the palm of one hand with the other for emphasis. Have you seen the John Grisham film, The Firm? It's worse.
Okay. Just let me think. His name was Julio Iglesias.
Ex-chief economist at consultants McKinsey, James Henry, thanks for coming on. So digging the dirt in offshores is highly dangerous, right? But it can be done.
Well, I've had my run-ins with people I've investigated. Some of them are went to jail, and a good example was General Noriega. And I was back in the 1980s. I was an investigative journalist, went to Panama, came up with 3 years of the general's international phone calls. If we don't have an aggressive press that's going after, and investigating people in power and people who have extraordinary wealth, then, you have a system that's just not functioning democracy.
Having stripped US homes, jobs, social spending, and shipped the profits offshore, Wall Street now targets America's last thing nailed down. Offshore sidestep US tax, leaving investment in infrastructure, trash removal, power plants, roads in a sorry state. Now over 100 hedge funds led by Wall Street banks are telling town halls to sell their last assets, with a big cut for Wall Street. Professor Stephanie Kelton, thanks for joining us. So cash-strapped cities get a one-off sum, but is selling out in the public interest?
When you sell them, they're gone for good. It is the long-term decision for the short-term fiscal, in response to a short-term fiscal crisis that they themselves create.
Wall Street has left the states described in unheard-of terms: banana republic, two-tier justice, third-world state. Worst of all, people now accept in the USSA banks rob you. Seek truth from facts. This is the Truth Seeker.